Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of the Request to Build series. Today we're going to be doing an actually exciting one. I'm going to be doing red power frames, frame engines, whatever you want to call them. Technical name is frame motors, frame motors. What we're going to be doing here is I'm going to be covering 3 different build types for the frame motors. Obviously there's like 50 different types, but these are the 3 ones which I tend to see people using the most. So the first one we've got is like a door system, so frames working in unison to create a door, or perhaps I don't know, whatever you can think of really. The second one is going to be like a pass-on system, so like one frame that like then passes it on to a second and becomes like independent of the first. So this one will be used in like transportation, elevators, things like that. And the third one is a single block, I don't even know how to describe it. Almost like a pass on. Like it'll have one block that will move all the way around without having to have any frames, and will just get passed on to the next one, and it'll just go around in a circle forever. Okay, so let's get started. So we'll start with the one that gets used the most, which is like the door system. So first off the bat, we need to get some power going. So that there is a battery box. The battery box recipe is as follows. Now, the battery box basically stores the power you need to power these motors. Now, they use electricity, so you need to get yourself some solar panels which work in conjunction with this mod. And this is how you make them. They're a lot easier than solar panels for industrial craft. So, you know, that's a blessing in disguise right there. So we're going to take some blue alloy wire, which is what which gets the power from your power source to your actual motors themselves. And I just looked at the time, it's going to go dark any time. So let's nip that in the bud. There we go. So, we need to get some power from here to these motors. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but if you wire up one motor, it will power any motors adjacent, and you'll see by the blue lights going on that it is powered. We've got to wait for the actual bat box itself, the battery box itself, to, there we go, fill up. There we go, the lights have come on, and it's done the one next to it. So you know, you don't always have to wire up every single one. Just a little fact for you there. And we'll wire up that one as well. 9 is like probably overkill. Like I would say that you probably only need, I don't know, 1 or 2 per engine. Depends on how regularly you're going to use it. if you're barely going to use it, you only need 1 per engine, because the energy gets saved up in the battery box and then used when it needs to, and then the 1 will refill it when you're not using it. So, but that's not important. Okay, so let's get these things moving. So, see, the frames work in conjunction with the I'm lost for words today. The frame motors work in conjunction with support frames, which is basically the block that these frames like to move around. So for this door, there's a 4 square gap between each frame, so to speak. So we want to go 1, 2. So that's your door that covers this half. But then you want like an excess, and I'll tell you why later. So, yeah. Right, okay. Sorry, it's a little personal victory for me there. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. Say, let's say it's three blocks high. You know, at this stage it doesn't really matter. Just making it look good. Let's get some wood and there we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Sorted. And we'll get rid of you. Okay, so as you can see, we got ourselves resembling a door. So when those two go inwards, it's going to create a finished door. Obviously, imagine the wood 2 blocks below ground level, you know, so it's like this bit under here would be hidden, and that would be the door up there. So now you can, these frames basically stick to anything that's next to them. So the reason why this will all move as one is because there's frames touching. As long as there's frames touching these, even if it just went 1 block all the way up to build limit, the whole thing would move, because it's just like, it's connected. Although I don't think they go that high. I think the limit is like 40 blocks, or maybe, but you know, citation needed. So if you put blocks like this all the way along, it will move along with it because the frames are connected to these blocks. If I doubled this up and put another block load here, then it wouldn't move because the frames aren't connected to it. So you've always got to remember that if the frame's connected, it's going to get pulled along. And this is what actually makes frames the most difficult thing to build, because it'll drag blocks along with it, and that tends to be what causes these things not to work. So if I had a block there, you know, and I wanted this door to continue to move, it wouldn't work because this block would want to take this block with it. So it's like, you know, that's what you've got to watch out for. You've got to watch out for your frames being stuck to other blocks. So how you can stop this is by using wooden covers. You can make wooden covers by taking yourself a handsaw and hacking down wooden panel, wooden slab, and wooden planks. So it's like you just got to keep cutting it down until you get to the covers, and then you can just go along each side and put that down like that. And now what that does is anything that was touching this now wouldn't get dragged along because it's got like this anti-stick cover. And you can do this from anything. You can do it from stone, anything. Like as long as it's a cover and you put it in there, it will stop it from sticking. So don't think you need to just use woods. And we're going to do the same to this side. Get that one. So it's an anti-stuck. Oh, get over. I hate doing jump placements. Right, there we go. Okay, so now that we've got that sort of like together, now we want to make a system that will actually move them together, which will power them, effectively activate them. The redstone circuitry, basically. So when I start building frames, frame motors, I always have to cover several colors of wire with me, because it is fiddly. Like if you don't, because if you think about it, you want to power both these blocks right next to each other, and you want redstone to do both of it. You know, you can save yourself a lot of time and space by carrying multiple colors with you. So how I do it is I take away this block and this block, because you can see the power's on the cable behind them, not in front of them. And if you put them up like that, it'll go directly into it. So that's how I do it. And I use two colors. I use one for going in, which is the left one, and one for going out, which is the outside one. So green will be close the doors, and red will be open the doors. So we just got to remember that. Okay, so let's well, you know, we could be fancy and cover all this up, but I just want to show you how this works, not, you know, yeah, not the ins and outs of it. So we got this roughly connected up, so you can break these like that. Okay, now this is where like personal preference comes in. Oh, just one more thing. You want to cover these up like that, because you don't want these to connect and then like the blocks. If these two meet, obviously it'll create one big line of frames, and then the computer programming has got to decide which blocks go which way, and sometimes they'll just disappear. So you've got to make sure that they don't stick to each other when they close. Now this bit is personal preference. Like I like to have one lever that does everything, which I'll explain in my example over there. But right now we are just going to literally create two levers, one that opens the doors and one that closes the doors. And if you want to elaborate on this later, then fair play. But you know, I'm not going to go into detail on it now, because obviously this video will be 40 minutes long. So let's create two levers, and we're going to have, right, so this is the next important thing, timers. You don't have to have timers, but if you do, it makes the entire thing a lot more slick. Just because if you reduce it to 80 milliseconds, the doors will close almost immediately after each other. Because if you pull this lever once when it's just connected straight into the engine, it'll activate once and move it one block, and then it will stop, and then you'll have to flick the switch off again and just flick it back on again to make it go the other block. But if you use timers, it'll make it tick twice immediately after each other, and 80 milliseconds is exactly what you need to make it go like one and then one immediately afterwards. So this is where the challenging bit comes in, because we've got to get the red over this side and the green over that side. So what we'll do is we'll do that. There you go. So that is your inward power. So as you can see, that was really smooth because we've done the timer. If you didn't have the timer, it wouldn't be anywhere near that smooth. And if you increase the timer time, it wouldn't be anywhere near that smooth. But you know, it works, so let's not mess around with it. Now the tricky part, we've got to get this power over there, and we might just have to wire this all the way around just so I can show you. So this isn't ideal, but you know, this is sort of like personal preference. We'll get rid of this and we'll replace the whole thing afterwards. You know, you could just go underneath the ground and have it come up this side, but I don't have that kind of space on this little like testing platform. So now you've literally got one that opens it. Should have opened it. I didn't. Oh, I've put these the wrong way around. Okay, so this is your classic mistake. It's actually really good, actually, because this just shows you what one of the mistakes can be. You've always got to have it pull from the outside inwards. So this has got to be your inwards, and this has got to be your outwards. Oh, I'm just second clicking with the screwdriver, by the way, and it just moves it around. Oh, I may as well do the other thing. If you hold shift down and then second click with the screwdriver, it changes the actual side that the arrow appears on. So shift and click moves the arrow side, and then just normal click moves the direction. So anyway, you've always got to have it go inwards on the outside and then go outwards on the inside, because literally this is what happens. It won't pull blocks that are adjacent, it will only pull blocks that are directly above it. So that was trying to pull that way, but there was no block above it, so it just couldn't do it. And this is obviously always going to push as far as it goes. So without having to have like another block here, you can just swap those around. So now green is open, and you see how it ends there, because it can't, there's no block above it, so it won't continue to pull it. So this is where these are fine, because they won't just continue to pull it. And now the ones that are going in, they've got a block above it, so now they'll go in. So if we pull the lever one now, they'll now go in. So that is literally your door right there. I've got a much smoother version over there, which I'll show you how I did it in a minute. It's using a toggle latch, so that you don't need to have two separate levers, you just have one. But yeah, I can explain that. In fact, I could probably do that right now, just so everybody can see it. So toggle latches are basically a bit of red power wizardry, as a friend of mine puts. Just going to change the time. So toggle latches, when they receive power from one direction, they will change the current from one side to the other, and then when it receives power again from any source, it will do it again. So we're just going to give ourselves a bit of distance here, just because we need a bit of distance. And I've just realised there's nothing wrong. Yeah, there we go. So this is your lever here. As you can see, every time I flick it, changes size. So how you would do this is you would have a button here. I'm not going to do it right now, but if you have a button here, then you wouldn't have to flick it back every time you want to do it again. But like if you had a lever like this on the other side as well, and it both fed into this side, that's like where it, or like comes in from this side, that's where this comes into its own. So then all you need now is to have this connect like that, and then to have the redstone come in on this side. And we will just build this a little archway to go over, just to make this a little bit simpler. Like so. So now this, oh shit. So now when I put it like that, oh, what's going on now? Oh, it's because that's going into that side like that. This is turning into a bit of a disaster. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So when I put it like that, the power's going to go to that side. When I put it like that, the power's going to go to that side. Obviously, I don't have timers there, so it's only moving one block. But you can see the theory behind it. The toggle latch will make it so that you only need one lever that opens it and closes it, so you can only have one on either side. The other one will come into this side, this one will come into this side. I've done it over there, so like when we get over there at the end of the video, I can show you how that one works. But we've already eaten in quite a lot of our video, and we've only done the first example, so let's get this out of the way and let's get cracking on the next one. So now that we know how this works, I'm not going to explain it quite as much as I do the other ones. It's just sort of like I'm going to roughly explain what I'm doing as I'm going, but I'm going to try and get this done, otherwise this video will be too long. So I'm going to place down our power like I did in the other one. I'm going to get the wiring. I need a block to get access to this. So I'm just going to go like that to give it power, and then I'm going to go along. There's going to be a block there. Get power like that. Okay, so this is the one that passes it on to the next. All I'm going to do is that. Okay, so then I'm going to place some frames on here. One, two, three, 4, 5. I'm going to need more blocks than that. We'll put it there just like that. So, right, and this is very simple. Like, I'm going to activate this. This is going to start. Oh, I need a timer, don't I? You got to always remember the timer, because otherwise it makes this thing very painful. Like if, like you saw then, it just did it once. Well, now with the timer, it makes the whole thing move like that. And you can just have a lever that stops it like that. So all that was is just one frame passing it on to the next. So like as soon as it left this block, it was still it connected to this block, so it was being pulled. So it just continued to go. So this is how you would work an elevator. So you didn't need to have like 60 blocks of this going all the way down to the core of the planet to have it go all the way down. You just have it like 10 blocks wide, and then have like frames, have motors all going all the way down. So like play tag with each other effectively. So now that's done, we'll go on to the last one. And this one's going to be a bit of a pain to wire up, but hopefully you're sort of getting the idea of how to work these things now. They are just so creative. It's not something that I can't really say like this is how you do frames, because there's just endless things you can do with frames. Absolutely endless. You know, this could be a 2-hour long video and I couldn't explain all the things you could do with frames. So it's like you got to take what I'm saying and just add a little bit of creativity to it, because that's what frames are all about. What I love most about frames is it makes the worlds like move. Like Minecraft is very like still, because you know blocks don't really move, and pistons made it slightly more less statuesque, I guess. But like that's what I love about frames. It just adds like a whole new possibility to the game. It makes everything just, you know, suddenly, you know, move. And I think that's it. It's added a lot more to Minecraft than people actually realise. I mean, I absolutely love them. I use them like in a lot of things, most things. So you know, it's actually a bit embarrassing, but I just love them so much. So all we've done here is we wired up all of these, and then I'm just going to throw down a oh no, don't want that. I want a lever like that, timer like that, activate that, don't want it spinning, and then activate it. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I think it's struggling to power them all. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to take a little while for this to get some juice going, because it's trying to charge them all at once. So just give that a moment. While that does that, I'll tell you what I'll do is I will go and show you my door. So this is the door that I built for our nuclear reactor, which I'll be doing either next video or the video after next. I think the next video is going to be a Q&A, so maybe the video after that, but you know, we'll see. So all this is, if I press this button, it opens. This is a 4x4 door, and when I come on the inside, I just push this lever, push this button, sorry, and it closes. And because it's like exactly the same, I can just push that button again, and it'll open. So it's like, it's not one opens, one closes. It's they both open and close by just pressing one button. And what I'll do is I'll go on. Right, so we'll dig up this area under here, because this is where the brain is. Okay, so as you can see, all that's happening is the wire's coming from that button and going in one side. Then we've got a timer on either side, and then the button has got a lever, one coming in from this side. So if that button gets pressed, it swaps from this power, stopping this one, and starts powering this one, which stops this one and lets this one activate. Okay, and then if I press it again, it just flips it again. So you're using a toggle latch, but with power coming from both sides with a button, because the button just like activates and then turns it off. So you don't need to flick it twice with a lever. And it's just passing the current from one side to the other, which is making the door open and close from both ends. So that's like really simple, but like effective. The timer I've done before is, it looks really like daunting, but it's actually quite simple once you get it going on it. All the wires are all blue alloy, or red alloy. Bluetricity is blue, and the power, red power, is red, and with just like a wire color of your wool color of your choosing around the outside to change the color of it. God, just trying to get all my words out. So that's just the wiring right there. The frames are brass ingots with sticks around it. Brass is smelted in the alloy furnace. And frames are the most difficult part. Frames are actually quite expensive. That's quite expensive already, but then when you get into this, it's like more iron, more blue alloy, more copper, more iron, and then diamond draw plates. Diamond draw plates are like saws. They can be used over and over again, so don't make like 5 if you're going to make 5 engines or whatever, just make 1. But yeah, so that's the recipes for that. Now we can come back over here, and hopefully this thing will be powered up now. Yeah, I can see all the lights are on, so let's give this thing a whirl. So as you can see, all that's happening here is we'll go around in circles. So this one pushes into that one, pushes it to that square, which pushes it to that square, 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 and so on and so forth. And it doesn't have to be a frame. It can be any block you want. It could be obsidian if you wanted to. So if you wanted to make an obsidian door that people couldn't blow through, creepers can't get through, you know, you can do obsidian. Or this could be a block breaker, and you could have crops below it. It could be a deployer, and it could deploy crops above it. It could be anything you want it to be. That's what frames are about. It's about, this is something, now insert your creativity. That's what frames are. So this has been the episode 3 of the Request a Build series, with the motors, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I hope this has been helpful. You got to understand it's hard because this is such a big thing. It's hard to squeeze it all into a little video. If people want more videos on the frames, if people say like, you know, I like the video but that wasn't quite enough, I can come back and do a slightly more advanced one, and that way I can have a second video to go into more detail. But I hope this has been helpful. If you like what you see, then subscribe. The next video will be a Q&A, and the one after that will be a nuclear reactor, and then the one after that is going to be a frame quarry, which is basically using frames with block breakers as a quarry rather than just using a quarry, as requested by a viewer. So those are the videos for the foreseeable future. Hopefully going to be doing one a day or one every 2 days, depending on how busy I am. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.